we're going to go through factoring a trinomial, but this time it's through something called decomposition. Okay. So we still have to be able to revert to this as our A, B's, and our C's. So we have to figure out what is what. So in this case, what would be our A?
16.
That's right, 16. What would be our B term?
40.
That's right. And our C term?
25.
Excellent. C term 25. Okay. Now in this one, what we're going to do is we need to find two numbers. And these two numbers need to multiply to what A times C are. Okay, so it's a little more complex. We've done something like that. Those same two numbers need to add up to our B term. Okay, so we're actually going to work this out. Our A times C, well, that's going to be 16 times 25. So you might want to put that in a calculator. I think it is 400.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're looking for is two numbers, because A times C is 400 equal to 400. And the same two numbers, not multiply, need to add to 40. So we're going to go through essentially numbers, that's not 40. We're going to go through factors of 400, okay? Okay, so factors of 400, I'll write a couple. Okay, there's 1 in 400. Obviously, they don't add to 40.
No.
2 and 200, they don't add to 40. 3, no. 4 and 100, they don't add to 40. 5 and 80, they don't add up to 40. So we're just kind of going through this. Eventually, we're going to get to two terms, and the two terms are going to be, okay, and you would try this process over and over again, but the two terms in our case are going to happen to be 20 and 20. 20 times 20 equals 400, and 20 times 20 equals 40. Good. Now that we've done this, these two terms become very important, these two 20s. So we rewrite our original. Y equals 16p squared plus 40p plus 25. The reason these 20s are really important is because what they've told us is we can split this middle term into two sets of 20. So we're going to split this 40. And this is going to help us with our factoring. So I'm going to get 16p squared. And I'm going to get positive 20. So we took one of them, and they are both positive 20. And we have to include the p. Okay? And another positive 20p. So we've split 40 into two positive 20p's. And that makes sense because if we were to reverse this, if we add 20 and 20, we would get 40. So we haven't really changed anything. We just split it up. The reason we've done this is so we can now use common factoring. And what that means is we're going to common factor the first set and the second set of numbers. We're going to find common factors for them. So, I don't know if you recall our common factoring. We got to look for the greatest common factor between 16 and 20. Do you happen to know what it is?
4?
It's right, it is 4. And because there's a p squared and a p, we can also take out a p. So our greatest common factor here is going to be 4p. So in other words, and actually I'll jump down the line, we're going to divide each of these by 4p. 4p is going to be our common factor, so I'll write it in front here. And then we'll have our brackets for what's left over. But before I even solve what's in those brackets, I want to find the common factor in the next one too. Is there a common factor between, well, first of all, is there a variable we can take out?
No.
No. Is there a common factor between 20 and 25?
5?
Yeah, that's right. We can take the number 5 out. So same idea, and we can take out positive 5, okay? So I'm going to put down positive 5, and then in our brackets. So our two common factors, if you notice what I did, is 4p went in front of this bracket, and 5 went in front of this bracket.
Yeah.
Then we're going to do our division. So 16p squared divided by 4p.
4p.
Yeah, that's right. It's 4p. And 20p divided by 4p.
5p.
5. Now, do I keep the p?
No.
What happens to the two p's?
It crosses out.
That's right. They cancel out. Okay, so with that same idea, so we wrote the 5 in now. What is 20p divided by 5?
4.
4. And what happens with this p?
It stays.
Yeah, that's right. It stays. And what is 25 divided by 5?
5.
That's right. So if you notice now, These two brackets are identical.
Yeah.
This is another type of common factoring. I can actually take those brackets out as a common factor, okay? So I combine them to be one set of 4p plus 5. Okay? You can think of it like I divided both of these by 4p plus 5 and 4p plus 5, and that became our common factor. But the easiest way to think of it is once you get to this point, you put them in one bracket, and the other bracket you put what's outside of them, which would be, happens to be 4p plus 5. It would be a little more obvious if we had different numbers. You would see the difference. Okay, so both the brackets end up being the same, and because it's a special case, we can rewrite it as 4p plus 5 squared. Okay, but this is just another way of doing it, or of factoring, this one called through decomposition.